All set, Bob?
Yes,
Pursuant to Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, several Port Council members, including Joe Solito, Nat Lowell, John Cahill, is Mr. Reese on?
yes,
And Mr. Reese. Will be participating by Zoom, and Mr. Brialt is in person and are participating remotely in today's meeting because their physical attendance today would be unreasonably difficult. All Port Council members in attendance and all members participating in the meeting by the Zoom video conferencing app will clearly be audible to each other. As a result, members of remote participation in this meeting and any and all votes taken by the members today shall be by roll call vote. I would like to also inform everybody that Sean Driscoll, the authority's communication director, is making an audio and video recording of today's meeting. Is there anyone else making an audio recording of today's meeting? If so, please identify yourself. Anybody, Sean?
Dave Creed, Nantucket Current.
I'm sorry, from where?
Nantucket Current.
Thank you.
Anybody else, Sean?
Louisa.
Attempting to record.
Okay, close enough.
Anyone else, Sean?
No, we're good.
If you are joining virtually, please press the raise your hand icon on your Zoom dashboard, or if you are joining by phone, please press *9 on your keypad. And when you are recognized, please state your name for the record. Thank you. We'll open up the meeting this morning. Item number one, excuse me, Bob, do you want to tell who's there at the meeting?
yeah, we can do this now. So in addition to myself and Bud, we have Terrence Keneally, Mark Higgins, Sean Driscoll, Mark Rosum, Kurt Van Riper, Stephen Coleman, and as you'll see later on, Julia Novak from Reptilis is here.
Thank you. Item number one, minutes of the meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Lowell, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Cahill,
Cahill, aye.
Mr. Brialt,
Aye.
Mr. Reese,
Aye.
and Mr. Solito, aye. Thank you. Number two on the agenda, management report, the updates on the current projects. Sean?
Okay, actually, before we do that, I'd like to, if we can, if we may, we just want to provide a brief update regarding the motor vessel Sankaty. So Mark Higgins.
Morning. I just want to give a brief update on our investigation. We're conducting a thorough investigation of the Sankaty incident that took place Thursday night at 1700 when the vessel broke free from its docking for the evening. We're fortunate that there was no loss of life, injuries, damage to the vessel, buoy property, or any environmental impact. We take this incident with the utmost seriousness. As an organization with ISM and a safety management system, we realize that an incident such as this is unacceptable and cannot take place. Right now, we are in the midst of an investigation and we'll have a root cause of what happened to cause the Sankaty to break free.
Mark, if I may ask a question.
Yes, sir.
When the boat is tied up, how many lines do they have tying the boat up?
The SOP is for two soft lines forward, two soft lines stern, your two cables for the transfer bridge, and your shore power connection.
But on that day, how many lines were attached?
On that day, they had two forward, one aft, the transfer bridge, and the shore power connection.
And it still broke away?
Still broke away.
Anybody else have a-
The forward lines, none of the lines parted?
Mark.
Okay,
I think until we complete the investigation and get all the statements, it's. At this point, it'd be a little premature to be. Making any determination on what what caused this situation.
Thank you, Bob. It's just that quite a few people have been questioning that over here. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you,
No.
Mark. I'm sorry, Matt?
No, I just said no, thank you, sorry.
Okay.
I'm all good.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, so the next item is an update on the projects, starting with the website. So Color Elements continues to work on elements of the website, the whole space timer on how long, when someone's booking a reservation, how long that's held before it becomes available again. Wait lists, updates to ticket books, gift cards, visitor alerts, and other content. We also have upcoming things include some of the bug fixes and reloading gift cards and RFID cards and updating the mobile app. But from, since our last meeting, we've gone back, we've been looking at the project. We started with a conceptual, then going into design and content. We're at the point now where we're more geared towards the functionality, the testing of the product, and what the deployment's going to be. So we have made some changes in the group. Since it's at this stage, it's closer to a finished product that will be that MIS is going to have ownership of. Kurt Van Riper is now going to be recognized as the project manager on the projects as we do this transitioning. And then Mark Higgins and Stephen Coleman have both been added as project leads to oversee the project. The steering committee has been increased in terms of participants. Not only from accounting with Mark Rosum and Kelly Conrad. Sean Driscoll still has a from the content and the public facing pages. And then we have our reservation bureau manager, Angela Campbell and Allison Fletcher, leading their respective teams in going through the testing. We also have on the MIS front, we have software developers that are working closely with Stella Elements to go through APIs and make sure that that this is a stable platform. And then we have our senior network engineer and looking at the infrastructure for it. So I think at this point there's been a lot of recent efforts on the testing. There are elements of the project that once we started doing it, some of these fringe cases ended up being more than what we were originally looking at. So we're getting a meeting regularly internally as a group, and also with Stella Elements on 2 days a week with Stellar Elements. But we are in constant contact with them during the other times to be able to identify and get this project over the finish line. So that's the direction we're at right now.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions? Yes,
Yeah.
Mark.
Did I read in the background information that the September deadline will be extended to a date yet to be determined?
Yeah, I think as we look at the product that we have right now. And in order to, realizing the resources that we're able to bring, it's a busy time of the year for our people. It's also a busy time, we want to make sure that the product is a good product. And so I think the September date that had previously been put out there, we're going to be looking at pushing that out some to clean up some of these issues that we found. So.
Well, I have no problem with extending deadlines when it's appropriate and necessary. It sounds like that's the case here. But not resetting the deadline does cause some concern on my part. Kind of leaves it open-ended and, doesn't provide for the accountability going forward on the project. That's just my opinion.
I think by the time we, at the board meeting in 2 weeks, we'll probably have a clearer understanding as to, a potential timeline. We're also, as I said, we're also dealing with, availability of our resources. And so, for instance, it's budget time for our accounting group. And so the time that they're able to devote to, testing and, it is a financial system in part in terms of making sure that what reservations are being selected are actually, that the payments are correct and the payments are going through properly for our customers. So, but there's other elements too in terms of the availability of, we have the phones are very busy in our reservation office. So to have, resources from the reservation group to be doing testing as well. So I think once we get a clearer picture as to the extent of what modifications need to be done or bugs need to be fixed, we'll have a clearer understanding as to when to roll this out.
So there will be a timeline with a concluding deadline provided at some future time.
Right.
Hopefully by the next board meeting.
We're pushing for it to be then, but that may slide as well. So.
Good. Well, my concerns
you,
are
Mark.
noted. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Any other questions? Thank you. Going to the MV Barnstable and MV Aquina status report.
So Sean will bring over Mark.
Good morning, everyone. Giving an update today on the Aquina and Barnstable projects at Alabama Shipyard in Mobile. Next slide. We have here is the cutouts for the tonnage bulkheads. These are going into the potable water and ballast tanks forward. The doors, the slots are on a hinge. What we're trying to do is keep all the rainwater out as it kind of pours there every afternoon. So at the end of the day, we just kind of close these like a door. Next. So we have here is a picture of the main deck, and in the area of probably the center part of that, today we're cutting out the main deck and we're removing the mud tanks over probably a period of the next 2 to 3 weeks. This is part of in preparation for the cut of the mid-body removal. Next. This is a photograph as part of the mid-body removal. We have to mark and bring back all the electrical cables. These are the main power cables that are coiled up. And if you can see on the overhead, we have a tremendous amount of communication cables that are underway as well. Next. And this is just some inspections in the bow thruster tunnels and We have the bow thrusters right now down at SMI in Miami in overhaul. And that's one of our QC surveyors, Mark Maloney, and we're just doing inspections of the tunnel. Next. In this period here, this was all an area covered up. We've cut away all the bulwarks. This is in preparation of, we're going to be elongating all the windows just above that for better visibility by, for maneuvering in and out of port. Next. And this is a financial snapshot. I'll let Bob touch that as well.
Yeah, so at this point, we've expended $21,029,000 on the project. There hasn't been any change orders at this point for the conversion, the shipyard contract. So we're still looking at just under $48 million for 2 boat conversions and the acquisition of the 3rd boat.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead, Nat.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark, for all that. So I know it's really early. And we're just starting, really. What is your thought on just overall progress over the next 6 months, 7?
But I
What do you
think,
think?
I believe, Nat, there's phases in this in preparation for the cut.
Right,
What's seen behind is, the removal of the equipment. You can see the cable has been pulled back. But now we're going to start to get to a point over the next 2 months where you're going to see the tanks removed and the cutouts made. The shipyard is going to be using a single lift. They have a gantry crane, and they're going to be using that to lift the mid body in a single lift out. So this is kind of like a little bit of a roller coaster. You're going to see a lot of work, and then you're going to see a lot of preparatory work behind the scenes. And they're also, behind the scenes in the shops, they're getting the steel coming in where they're beginning to make the sponsons and
yep, you
bulkheads.
answered my
So
next
it's-
question.
And so it's all in the plan, and the plan is very well laid out, and we're on delivery. We have production meetings every week with the shipyard, and we're on delivery.
Okay, no, great. And you answered the question. My next question was the steel and pre-building stuff. Thank you. I know this is like a renovation. This isn't you're not going to see things come together for a while. I just want to get your feel for it. That's all. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Mark, what's a mud tank?
Well, what they would do for in the oil and gas business, these are large tanks located on center line, and they would be used to make a liquid mud for the exploration. We have no use of that equipment, and so it's actually a hindrance in putting in our transverse watertight bulkheads. So we're just removing that equipment out, and that opens up the center area if we can put bulkheads and other apparatus in there.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Mark. I suppose we got to have nicknames. We have 4 Marks now that we have on today.
It's busy.
Number 3, going to the motor vessel Gay Head dry dock status.
That's Mark as well.
Okay. Okay, the Gay Head is out of Thames Shipyard now at just undergoing Coast Guard testing and getting ready to go back on the run on the 18th of August. This picture was earlier in July at launching, and this is all painted up and dressed up, ready to undock. Next photo, next slide. We still did do a lot of structural steel in the vessel. This is some of the internal frames that we've done and side shell repairs. Next. We're still keeping this vessel up at 100%. We put all new vent heads on, as you can see in this photograph. So the dry dock highlights, including coatings, bow thruster overhaul, structural steel renewals, blasting and coating of the hull and superstructure. Next. And the financial snapshot on it, the contract was $776,142. We had $120,225 in change orders for a grand total of $749,419. So we're essentially just below or at budget. Any questions?
Nat,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
go ahead.
Mark, so I just, and this, I don't expect you to have like some kind of miracle answer, but I love this work that we do in these boats. And since this boat is one of the ones we're selling or replacing, does this work help us in that department when it comes time to put them out on the street? I mean, we have to do the work, you know what I mean, regardless of what, you know, is happening with the new boats.
This is a US Coast Guard statutory dry dock. So this is not this is a requirement to keep the
Right.
vessel in service, and the vessel will be at 100%. We do all of our maintenance. We have not actually cut any corners or anything being probably the final dry dock. So this is to get us to the next dry docking in 2 years. So I hope that we did all the coating, we did the steel work, we did a lot of life-saving appliance work. So we're in good position for continued operation.
Okay, no, that's great. And I understand that. I'm just, you know, it looks so good when these things are these boats are in the shipyard. You can't help but think about that being part of, you know, our work and our diligence helping down the road for these boats to be hopefully sold, not having to be, you know, scrapped or whatever. So thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you,
Going to
everyone.
the,
You, Mark.
going to the strategic plan number 4.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we have Julia Novak with Reptilis is here today. And she'd like to provide a summary of the project to date along with the stakeholder input. So Julia, welcome.
Okay, well, thanks so much for having me. What I want to do today is just give you all a little bit of an update on what's happened since we were together at the beginning of May and prepared the draft framework. And go ahead to the next slide. There are certain elements of the framework, the vision and the strategic outcomes that we wanted to get input on from all of your various stakeholders. So next slide. And next slide. We did a couple of things in June and July to solicit input. We had several community meetings, 5 different meetings in different locations on both Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, and here on the Cape to solicit input from the mainland port communities on the framework. And we also had a survey available online that was soliciting input again on the vision and the strategic outcomes. And we had over 900 responses to that survey, which closed on June 30th. Next slide. I believe you all got a copy of the report in your packet over the weekend, the summary report that we've provided, but just want to hit just with a very high level what we learned and what we heard from the people who participated in this engagement process. First, just in terms of who we heard from, vast majority of the respondents, the biggest percentage of respondents were from Martha's Vineyard, followed by Nantucket, and then the visitors, the mainland port communities, and others, people who didn't choose to respond. And obviously, most of them were from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Next slide.
Josh.
What we were asking about during the survey was really to give us feedback on a lot of the statements that you all developed when we were together in early May. They were asked whether or not they agreed, what their level of agreement was with each of those statements, the vision and the outcomes. And what I hope you'll take away from this slide is there was a very high level of agreement from people in terms of, did they feel like the statements, the vision statement, the outcome statement, that they were on track. Next slide. We'll go through each of the statements now, and I'll give you a very high level summary of what we heard and then adjustments that we've made at this point to kind of where we are in modifying the framework going forward. So on the vision, next slide. Again, there was a very high level of agreement, over 88%. The highest level of agreement was from visitors, followed by Nantucket, and then Martha's Vineyard and the mainland port communities. And while it's not going to be on each of the slides, if you'll notice in the report, that's a theme, just in terms of the higher level of agreement with each of the statements coming from your visitors and Nantucket, and then a declining level of agreement from Martha's Vineyard residents and the port communities. But when they looked at the vision statement, we asked them to rank, of the concepts that we included in that statement, what was most important to them. And clearly reliability was number one, followed by safety, being an important part of the community, and finally the stewardship aspect. The comments, and we did get comments both in person at the community meetings, and then in the survey itself, people were allowed to provide us with comments to elaborate on their response to the survey. And what we heard was that the concept of the lifeline was really missing from the vision statement, that was an important part of who the Steamship Authority is to them, and so they wanted that to be captured. And I would say in general, there was just a sense that, yeah, this is what they do, but they didn't necessarily feel like it was aspirational, that it was really reaching for something new. So we took those comments, and on the next slide, you'll see how I wanted to see the vision statement along with the mission and values because of the overlap between those two statements. Again, the vision statement, what you want to be known for, what your reputation is. The mission statement, more about who the organization is and why people come to work there every day, who they serve, what do they do. So we took the comments and made a couple of adjustments just to add that lifeline concept and wiggled some words around. And so the vision that we're kind of working from now is that the Steamship Authority is a lifeline for the islands and a valued and respected part of our communities, committed to the highest levels of safety and reliability, and to the stewardship of the Cape Islands and our waterways. Next slide. So we're going to, the same process, kind of rinse, repeat for each of the outcome areas. And I'll just go through them with you to let you know what we heard. So with regards to safe and reliable, one of your outcome areas provides safe and reliable service. Again, you had 81% agreement with this statement. Key themes, reliability, again, was the most important statement in the vision statement. So we hear about this again in the comments. People are interested in your asset replacements. People are interested in communication and about how they hear about and learn about any changes to the schedule. So we actually, this is the one area that was a very high level of agreement, and based on the comments, next slide, we did not make any changes to the wording that y'all came up with in early May. So good job on that one. Next one is ensure financial stability. So, this is one where, again, a high level of agreement, it was 71%. In general, that's a high level. It's the lowest level of agreement. And this is an area where, again, kind of looking at who disagreed more, it was more frequently disagreed with by people who are on the vineyard. Higher uses, the impact of the cost is obviously something that I think they feel perhaps more acutely. But there was a real interest in seeing more of a focus on rates and affordability for island residents. kind of more consideration for year-round residents is something we heard also in our community meetings. And suggestions included that we really looked at, including the concept of long-term sustainability and demonstrating empathy, that there was an understanding, a focused understanding of how the rates impacted residents of the islands, and also kind of looking at that long-term alternative sources of revenue. So we made some adjustments. On the next slide, you'll see we added the word focused, and we talked about long-term sustainability. So the revised statement here is financial stability is a hallmark of the Steamship Authority. Operations are financed with a focused understanding of the impact fares have on island residents and ridership. Alternative funding sources are actively sought to maintain and update assets and supplement operating costs with an emphasis on long-term sustainability. We then went to invest in our employees. So this is something I think when the flavor of the people who attended the workshops in person were very much interested in the employees knowing how important they are and recognized as being a vital part of your operations. They really wanted to kind of see that was a part of this, and I'm feeling like somehow I have the invest in our employees key themes slide is not correct. But the suggested adjustments really was more about recognizing that was not a strong enough word. So I apologize for that. So if we go to the next slide, the change that we made was to be a little bit more firm. Instead of saying that we recognize that, we just say our employees are the heartbeat of the Steamship Authority. And that they know they are a vital part of the organization and appreciate working in a collaborative and transparent environment that is grounded in our values. The themes that we heard in the meetings and that came forward in the focus in the survey were really about customer service, that was something that people were interested in, a more consistent level of service and making sure that employees felt engaged in the operations and that they knew what was going on too. I think the communication piece, sometimes people in the immediate customer facing position don't always have the information that people are asking for. And so those are things that as we go forward and looking at initiatives that we might be looking at. The next area was enhance, maintain, and green our infrastructure and assets. And of course, this is about the vessels, what you just talked about here in your meeting. And there was, kind of again, the level of agreement was very high at 74%. There was a lot of comments in this section that were the same, specifically more so coming from Martha's Vineyard, a real interest in the environmental sustainability, looking at reducing emissions and wanting you to be a little bit more progressive, perhaps, or aggressive in saying what your hopes are in terms of reducing emissions in the future. So there was, and also planning for coastal resilience. So they made some specific suggestions, and we kind of took those into consideration, and we came up with the following language for the rewrite of this one. So next slide. So again, trying to emphasize some of those same themes. We recognize the importance of our shoreside and marine assets and are committed to planning and investing in maintenance, enhancements, and replacement by adopting proven technology and implementing best practices. We value the sustainability of our assets and are mindful of the environmental impact of our operations. And the last area is that engage with our communities. Again, 75% agreement with this particular statement. People are definitely interested in improved communications, in knowing that they're heard, that you're kind of listening, not just that you're telling, but that you're engaging with them to hear more about it. And of course, we got feedback again. Some of this spills over into customer service or reliability, but just that desire from year-round residents to have quicker and kind of assured access, even if it's a short-term need that comes up where they need to get on and off the islands. So with that, we did make one change to this sentence, this statement. So Next slide. Where we're working from now is that the Steamship Authority is a vital part of our communities and engages with the traveling public and communities served, recognizing operational impacts and balancing the need to preserve a local character and provide lifeline services to residents. Our care for the islands and mainland port communities, as well as the traveling public and other stakeholders, is reflected in the deliberate and responsible way that we carry out our stewardship responsibilities. So where we go from here, and we're certainly interested if there's any comments you all have about these statements, kind of as you've read through the comments or heard these revisions today. We're going to be sharing this also with the Board of Governors at their next meeting. And then we begin working in earnest with the organization on developing implementation plans, identifying strategies that would help accomplish these goals and developing those implementation plans. Again, this all will come back to the board and port council for your approval at your joint meeting in December. So we have a lot of work to do this fall, but we're going to also let people deal with the busy summer and not really re-engage with the organization until after September. So we can let them get through this busy time and their budget season before we start working on the strategic plan implementation. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have or comments.
Thank you.
Comments.
And
Yes.
any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah.
No,
I just.
I'm sorry.
Like to get a
Well,
copy.
let Bud go.
good, bud.
What we
Oh,
saw
okay.
in our packet was the original, and what you showed was the revision, and
Yeah.
I'll get a copy of
We'll
that.
provide those with you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anything else, bud?
That was it. Thank you so much.
All right, Nat,
Yep, hi, Julia, thank you for everything. So just a couple of suggestions. I don't know what slide it was, apologize. Investing in maintenance, the word maintenance on this is on the green section. I would replace that or consider replacing it with proven technology, because maintenance is not, I mean, that's a word that sort of general and doesn't really focus on what that is actually talking about. Proven technology, I think, fits perfectly into that little draft that you have there. The other thing is the term lifeline. I feel like I'm hearing myself with that, as that this is a very important word. And it's so old school that we think we need to fix it. We don't need to fix it. That's it. That's like Fenway. Like, that's just something that needs to stay. Like, the green moss is not leaving, the lifeline word answers so many different points without actually even trying, okay? And that affordability issue is something that I've been sort of concerned with for years, is at some point in time, our route, I mean, I don't even like to talk about the vineyard price, just stay out of that conversation. But we're in a different position here. And we're doing a good job with the arrangement we have with sports teams and groups and things like that. But that's something that I've talked to management about for a long time, not just current management. That at some point, we're going to have to figure out a little bit more to help with local residents' cars, maybe adjusting the excursion to break it up a little bit. There isn't too many people that take their car away for 30 days exactly. It's sort of like the rental issue thing. I mean, people go away for a handful of days. There may be some things we can do to help in the off season. But anyway, so people are saying a lot of the same things that we talked about at our meeting in Falmouth that day. People want reliability. They want simple things to work. So when we start talking about converting all the boats to electric, well, they have to work though. Like, people won't want the boats breaking down. They want things to work. And I think keeping the term proven technology helps in explaining that we're not sitting here saying we don't ever need to change anything, but we don't want to change just to change and then have mechanical problems and investment issues, and we have to pay for that. This isn't free. So thank you, Julia, very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Julia. Going to item 5, the IT review.
Sean, will be bringing up a. So far, the progress on the IT assessment is being performed by Gibbous, as you know. So, next slide. So, the summary of the project, it's a comprehensive review of the technologies and assessment of what our current systems we're using, to develop some guidance to inform the areas for improvements. And then that assessment will then form a strategic direction that for our IT group and roadmap for the future. Next. In June, there's the project kickoff with Gibbous. There was a number of data requests that they had put together that our team has been supplying them with. They also started to conduct internal in-person interviews with staff members and some stakeholders. They've been looking at the infrastructure and what we have and what we're doing. It also included to get a better conceptual, of our operations. It included a tour of the facilities. So, next. So I was going to say here in July, but it's actually August. So in July, they were looking at benchmarking. They prepared an internal and external survey, and they also were they met with Stellar Elements to discuss some of the document needs for the new website as part of the Gibbous study. So next. So here in August and September, the survey launched, and I'm told this morning that the survey did go out this morning. So that's available, and it's available through the end of the month. They're planning on some additional stakeholder interviews. They've been looking at, our system securities, some of the APIs that we do, reviewing those. They'll be then wanting to sit down and have a visioning session, and along with the initial assessment of the status. Next. And then once we get into October, November, they'll be looking at what options, they'd be recommending, as well as some additional working sessions. And then next. So they expect to have a draft of the report done. I think the schedule actually calls for it to be mid-December, early to mid-December. And then the final report and recommendations at the end of December, with the presentation of the report at the January meetings. So that's where we stand on that. It's they're basically we're getting their feet under them in terms of what we do and how we're doing it, what we're doing, and then now going back to see where we should be going. So,
Thank you, Bob. Any questions? Mark?
Yeah, I'm just curious, what's the integration or overlap or whatever word comes to mind between this project and the website project?
well, the part of this is to understand the direction that we're going with in terms of the website and how that's going to be interfacing with our reservation system. The planning for, the idea is that the new website with the APIs to make it more compatible for changes down the road, as opposed to hard coding certain elements of it and things like that. So that was some of the interactions that they had with Stellar Elements in that.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Bob. Going to the treasurer's report.
Morning, everyone. This is a summary for the month of June. Thank you, Mark. Okay, passengers for the month of June, on the Vineyard route, we're down 1,000 passengers or 0.4%. The Nantucket route was down just over 4,700 passengers or 7.6%. Both routes combined were down 5,740 passengers compared to last year, or 1.8%. Year to date, we're up for both routes combined 4.7% or 52,692 passengers. Weather for June was a factor. In June, we had 18 days that had measurable rain compared to last year, we had 12. Passengers carried, here's a comparison from this year to last year by month. Vehicles carried for the month of June. On the Vineyard route, we're down 1.1% or 551 passenger vehicles. On the Nantucket route, we're down 8% or 604, up 8% or 604 vehicles. In both routes combined, we're up 53 vehicles or 0.1%. Year to date, we're up just under 1% or 0.8%, with 1,973 vehicles for both routes combined. And that's the monthly comparison. Freight vehicles, the Vineyard was up 1.8%. The Nantucket was down 5.9%. And both routes were combined, were down 1.1% or 114 vehicles. Year to date, both routes combined are 5.9% or 2,742 vehicles. And keep in mind, all of these vehicles and passengers are one-way travel. Here's the monthly comparison. Here's the graph illustrating the travel patterns on the Vineyard route, where the cars and the trucks leaving the island, coming back to the island, different colors. Here's the weekday trucks, freight trucks per day, per trip. And here's the weekend. Now, obviously, we see in the weekend, we carry significantly less freight than we do on the weekdays. Cars parked for the month of June, we were down total 3.7% or 757 vehicles. The Vineyard route was down 1%, and the Nantucket route was down 13%. And this correlates pretty closely to the passenger ridership we talked about earlier. Here's the cars parked by month. Trip summary. So for the month of June on the Vineyard route, we had no trips canceled for mechanical or weather, 12 for traffic and 22 for crew. On the Nantucket route, we had 7 trips canceled for mechanical, 4 for weather, 7 for traffic, and 60 for crew. On the Nantucket route, the crewing was on the IANO exclusively, and on the Vineyard route, it is the Governor that we're missing those trips due to crewing. So overall, you can see the percentages for each category for the year to date of what percentage of all the trips that were available to run were canceled for those following categories. For the month of June, operating revenue of $15,682,511 was lower than budget by $224,208. Other income of $420,000 was higher than budget by $241,000, and that's really being driven by interest rates. Operating expenses of $11,301,000 was higher than budget by $159,000. And putting this all together, we had a net operating income of $4,652,000, which was lower than budget by $43,000. Year to date, we still have a net operating loss of $453,000, but that's lower than budget by $6.7 million. And some of that is timing that we'll see that number shrink as we go through more of the year. Breakdown of the operating revenues, as you can see, all major categories are down as we saw in the traffic reports. Putting this together, we have a decrease of operating revenue of 1.4% at $224,000. For the month, year to date, operating revenue is up 0.7% at $382,000. Here's the breakdown by month for each category as well as year to date. And as we can see, compared to previous months, the passenger revenue is starting to take a bigger slice of the pie as we get into the summer months. Operating expenses for the month were up 159, just under 159,000 or 1.4%. Fuel for the month was we budgeted $3.94 and it came in at $3.03. Year to date, we're looking at maintenance expenses down 1.1 million, but that number will start changing with some of the contracts we awarded in the last month. Here's a breakdown of the operating expenses for the month of June as well as year to date. Here are the passengers for July. For the first 3 weeks, we're down 3.5% for both routes combined at 10,000 passengers. Pretty evenly quantity split between the two routes, but year to date, we're still up 3.1% for passengers for both routes combined. Total vehicles carried for the month of first 3 weeks of July. The Vineyard route was down 1.3% and the Nantucket route was up 2.5%. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Any questions? I just have one, Mark. Do we know what the other carriers were doing, such as Scudder, the Island Queen? Were they down also?
I have in the business summary, I have that in there for June. We'll grab that, give me a second.
You gotta remember, we got the 7:30 out, Mark.
Yes.
I mean, that needs to be a flag.
That fifth trip for the month of June accounted for 12 point something % of all the passenger ridership. So we were down an additional 4% on top of the losing the fifth trip. So we're still down overall percentages. So for the other carriers, let's see, Highline was up 6.8% on the Nantucket route. And on the Vineyard route, they were down 15.5% for the month of June.
Thank you, Mark. Any other questions? Thank you. We'll go to new or old business, general manager's review.
Turn it over to Terrence.
Well, historically, we do the review for the general manager in June or before June of every year, and we put it off now until July. And I guess I'm waiting feedback, or we're still waiting feedback from the 4 council members with respect to the status of their reviews and where they sit. And I think my question is, Joe, is the panel ready to provide their comments today? Or I know there's been some discussion about potentially putting it off for a later date.
I called Janice, I guess it was, in IT, and I spoke to Bob on Friday. We just got his goals and what he has done. I got it on Wednesday night and I started looking at it on Thursday night. But I know John Cahill and I and a few others, this is our busiest time of the year, and I was making a suggestion if we could do it in September when we're not as busy over here. And maybe after we do this, of setting up some other schedule of doing this, because I know Bob is busy and he was delayed in getting his report to us. And I don't want other members would speak. And I asked Bob if he would kind of send out a notice on Friday to other members, because I didn't want them working over the weekend on trying to get everything ready for Tuesday when we had discussed about not doing it. I'll open that up for discussion to Mark Bud on that.
Well, just before that, Joe, just to let you know, my understanding is Bob did send out a request.
Okay.
And that's why I'm following up, because I haven't seen any replies or any further follow-up on that. So here we are. So I just want to find out what the status is from you folks, and then we can come up with a plan that better suits the schedules and then execute that. So.
So
I'd
comments
just like
from
to
any-
apologize. I guess that must have been sent to my Steamship Authority email account, which I don't monitor regularly. So I haven't seen anything yet. So I apologize for my lack of preparation.
Okay, that's one. Thank you, Mark, for your forthrightness. I appreciate that. Anybody
Matt?
else?
Nat, do you have any comment?
I mean, I've been doing this a long time, so I always like the verbal. And, scorecard way of doing it. We used to do that with Wayne on occasion. But, whatever the other members want to do, I'll go along with them,
Bud,
This is the first time I've seen the whole thing within the report that just came out. So any delay till September would be appreciated.
Okay. Is
and I
John
know
still?
excuse me,
John's
I've
on
spoken
mute.
to John Cahill. We were texting back and forth on Friday because he has the same problem that I did with people being here in the summertime and just being very, very busy for us. But I would ask if we could do this until September, or if that's agreeable to other members.
Totally okay with me.
Nat,
yeah, fine.
it's fine with me. And John, are you still on?
Like John's muted there.
Hey, Joe, how can I help?
Yeah, John, we were talking about delaying until the September meeting for our review of the general manager. Until our
Yeah, I would
September meeting.
I would support that, just because it's just so busy on the island and have not had a chance to do a thorough job.
Thank you. So with that, council, is that agreeable?
Yeah, I guess it's gonna have to be, that's fine. I think what we'll do is, and I think historic, or the times that I've been doing this, since I've been here, I know the board relies quite heavily on the recommendation from the Port Council. So I'd anticipate that would get, that would push back their review. I'm not gonna speak for them, but that's historically what happens. So I think what we'll do is confirm, or if people can reach out to me or Janice and confirm that they have all the materials, which hopefully they are. I encourage you to look, we send everything to the Steamship Authority addresses.
Yeah.
Once we get that confirmed, then we'll make sure that it's ready to go with the deadline in September. And not having my calendar here in front of me, I'm not sure exactly what day we're meeting in
I
September.
think it's the
but-
day after Labor Day, which I think is the first, second, third, fourth,
Right now,
the eighth,
so
seventh, sixth, fifth, the fifth, I think.
it's the 12th. I think we've punted to the 12th. So
Okay,
I think we have it set for the 12th. So we have, I'm not gonna say an extra week there, but we have at least some time away from Labor Day to get ready to go. So if I can ask everyone to target that date, and then we can move forward on the 12th, that would be much appreciated.
thank you. Any other comments? And under all the new business, and I'm gonna bring this up under the budget. On Thursday here on the Vineyard in Oak Bluffs, we had a power failure. It's the second one we've had in 2 years. And maybe under the budget process, is there any way of getting maybe a generator for Oak Bluffs? Do the other ports have generators when the transfer bridge isn't working? And at least the transfer bridge can work if the power's out?
Yeah, we'll address that. There was one that we had, a temporary one that would go to Oak Bluffs. We can find out, we'll get something, Joe, yes.
Okay, because I know it was sometime around 5 or something, the power went out, and I got a couple of texts and a couple of phone calls from a couple of the merchants and want to know why the boats weren't coming in. All right, thank you. Any other thing under old or new business? Public comments?
Actually, if I may,
Oh, good. I'm sorry, Bob.
thing. I received a letter from the town of Tisbury requesting consideration to be diverting the last trip of the Martha's Vineyard for Beach Road concert on, I think it's August 25th, 6th and 7th. I might be off a day on those, but or if not diverting it, to delaying the departure by 15 minutes out of Oak Bluffs. So I just got that at the end of last week. They'll be put on the agenda for the board meeting.
I know, speaking for the town of Oak Bluffs from last year, and even some of the merchants this year, they're against having the boat not coming in for 3 nights in a row. And last year, at the suggestion of the police chief in Tisbury, we delayed it for 15 minutes, and I'm sure they would go along with that this year. Any other comments? And I think that would be the recommendation, I think, from the Board of Selectmen. I can't speak for them. But that would be the recommendation that I would be making to the Board of Selectmen as Port Council, that we delay it for 15 minutes instead of 8:30 to 8:45. Any other comments?
I'm all set. I don't want to jinx anything like I did last month with the fuel price.
Thank you, Nat. We're only up like 20% since then.
Incredible.
We're paying for something a gallon over here. Bob, is there anything else under new or old business?
That's all I had.
Okay. Anybody, any other council members under new or old business? Going to public comment then?
Mary Longacre.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for giving me time to speak. I am letting the Steamship Authority know about the NOBSCA's remaining parts. They have been in storage for many years and they need to be relocated. So I have been in touch with WRH Industries, and I have been actually out to their facility to see the parts in the condition that they're in. I have created a website with those photos and notes from the trip, and that is available through Nat Lowell or Bob Davis or Sean Driscoll. They've all been emailed with that information as well as my contact information. So what I'm asking is that the Steamship Authority and that could be either in the form of the organization itself or the communities that it serves separate from the Steamship Authority. If they have interest or resources available to assist with the continued preservation of the NOBSCA's remaining parts, potentially with their restoration or with their installation somewhere as an exhibit. I'm also reaching out to museums and other interested parties. My role is essentially to try and make the connections to look for the financial resources, look for the locations, look for the transportation that we're going to need to try and keep these parts, in existence. I have heard that the family is interested in moving all of the relics that it has as a package, not as individual pieces. And so I'm trying to help facilitate that. So again, at this point, informational, would be happy to talk with anybody with knowledge of the history, with any ideas for the continued preservation or for exhibiting them, with anybody with resources for restoration or transportation or locations where they could be stored temporarily or permanently. The inventory is 3 of the lifeboats, the engine, which is in pieces, bits of the above deck, the 4 cowl vents, some other structures, the propeller and shaft, the ship's wheel, the binnacle. I'm not hitting all of them. I'm just going off the top of my head, but it's a considerable amount of artifacts. And then the hope is that we would be able to continue to preserve them and to go one step beyond that to exhibit them and honor the history of the NOBSCA in some fashion. So again, bringing that information to your attention, I hope that Bob and Sean and Nat will share out the information I've provided to anybody who's interested. And thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Any questions? Thank you. Anybody?
No, I just want to thank Mary for this. And this is, every time this stuff comes up, I think of Matt Flathers and how much he did with this stuff back in the day. It's unbelievable. I'm not sure what we can do, Bob, financially, etc., donations, the foundation of the NOBSCA and all that stuff, the New England Steamship Foundation, or whatever it was that he was involved with. But if there's something we can do, at least to save maybe a lifeboat or two, some of that stuff is definitely something that would look good on the properties, whether it be here, the Vineyard. That boat was named the Nantucket, I believe, when it was originally launched, or wasn't it? Or what was it? Mary knows the answer to that, but I forgot. I think it was. Don't think it was the NOBSCA in 1926, but maybe I'm wrong. But I think that with all the emphasis on history sells, history matters. It didn't matter as much 40, 50 years ago, but it does now. And I think we should try to capture a little bit of this, like we did with the whistle, with the eagle, and then all of a sudden we're putting one on the Martha's Vineyard, you know, later down the road. So I think it all kind of fits into the same box. So thank you.
Any other comments? Anybody else on public comment?
No, I don't see any.
With that, I'll take any other comments from any of the Port Council members? With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Calling down the roll. Nat,
Aye.
John Cahill, John,
Hey, Cahill, aye?
Bud,
Aye.
Mark,
Hi.
and Joe, aye. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good August.
Have a nice
Thank you
evening.
all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.